Okay, so right here you have your channels 1 through 8, and then 9 through 16, and then 17 through 24, which you guys don't have the pack to hook that up, so those are just virtual channels. Same with 25 to 32. Those are virtual channels. You can use those for USB recording and stuff like that, but mainly for running sound, just don't even worry about that. You're only worried about 1 through 8 and 9 through 16. So 9 through 16, if you're here doing weddings and that kind of thing, this is probably going to be your main one, because you have your brown microphone, which is your wireless, and you have your purple microphone, which is this one right here. So purple microphone. I'm going to turn this on and talk. Check, check, check. Okay, that's that. And one thing, you want to make sure that this mute enabled. If by some reason your finger hits it, you hit that, you'll no longer be able to turn these mutes off. That just made all the mutes inactive. So if you get somewhere and you figure out, oh, I can't turn the mutes on or off, that's because mute enabled is off. So you want to make sure that's on. Okay, now you can go through and unmute stuff and mute stuff back again. That's going to be a big problem if you're not quite familiar with what's going on here. So right here we're on 15, which is the purple microphone, the purple wireless microphone. So we're going to click on that. I'm going to go back. To go back on this thing, that's you hit this where it says channel 15, or it'll say channel 9 or channel 1, whatever channel you're on. That's how you go back. Okay, and to access the EQ, or if you need to send this to the monitors for sends and that kind of stuff, you just click right on where it says whatever it says. So if it says channel 15, I'm going to change that to purple microphone. But yeah, so you click on that, it'll take you over here. Okay, so now this is your overview tab. This is showing you what's going on. So right here you can see that it's going, that you have, if you look at here, it kind of gives you a snapshot of what's going on. So you can see that you have your down here, just like on the other screen I showed you, it shows you have a little bit of room reverb, a little bit of hall reverb, no delay, and no chorus. Because remember, your effects, here's your 4 effects. You have room reverb, hall reverb, delay, and chorus right there. I'll show you have a little bit of those two. You can barely see it. You probably can't see it in the monitor. It'll show you right here, you have some coming out the monitor send 1, 2, 3, and 4. For some reason they have all the volumes going out, all monitors for right now, which if you're just getting a sound check, you might go in and turn those all down just so they're not feeding back when you're pressing up. You'll see mains right and left. They're just, you don't really have access over those, so it has those full. These other buses right here don't even need to worry about that. But that just kind of gives you a snapshot of what's going on. You can't move anything here. It's just a snapshot. So let me go back here to that mic. Okay, so we're back here on channel 15. Shows you have this is your gate, and this is your EQ, and this is your compressor. Compressor. So that just kind of shows you a snapshot. You can actually, if you want to jump to things like real quick, if you want to jump to EQ, you can press on EQ, and now you have control over your EQ right here. This has a low pass filter on it. If I wanted to take that low pass filter off, I'd click on the little red dot, because that's your low pass filter, and I would just turn that off. Okay, so I'm not sure where that went off, but yeah, so you can move these up and down by there. You'll also always, on no matter what screen you're at, you'll have your overall volume right here and your mute. So if something starts feeding back, you can just hit mute no matter what screen you're on. If I go to dynamic, this is your compressor. Sends, this is where you won't have it on. This is the only screen you won't have it on. But as far as configuration, you don't really have to worry about this. This is just going to where routing is, so you don't need to worry about that. Let me come back over here, just lean against that. So go back over here to overview. It's going to show your gate, your EQ, your compressor, and kind of what's going on. So again, configuration, you don't need to worry about that. Gate, here's your gate. You can also get to that by just pressing on gate. It'll call up the gate if you need gate. Gate's always a good thing for talking mics, because when there's not a lot of sound going through it, it'll close that gate. So you can see right now, if I turn this mic on, See that red light moving? Check. Check. Now it just closed that gate, and even though I'm talking away from the mic, it's not opening that gate. But you can see it barely starting to open that gate. Now if I move the mic back, it'll bring it back. But if I'm walking around the room and I have that mic away from my face, it'll close that gate and it won't feed back. So a gate's a good thing for talking stuff. EQ, if I go back, either I can go overview and just click on the EQ, or I can go to, if I'm on overview, I can click on EQ and I can fix it there. That'll give me more highs, mids, and lows. And then dynamic is your compressor. And like I said, it's pretty much already set, so you don't need to worry about that stuff right here. You can turn it on and off there. There's turn your compressor off and your compressor back on. So anyhow, but then, so let's go back over here to sends. So your sends, like on the other board, this is your, these will be, the first four will be your monitor sends. So depending on how many monitors you have set up. So say if you have, you know, 2 monitors set up, and in the input in the back end that I showed you in the other video, you know, is your drum monitor, you would turn this up to give you more of that mic in your drum monitor. You would turn this up if this one's set up for front of house, you'd turn this one up to give you more in the front of house, depending on how you have those set up. As a rule, I would usually have these down after sound check, just because, you know, maybe just bring this one up a little bit so you know there's a little bit of tone. But then, yeah, so that's it. If you come over here, the last 4 are going to be your effects, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So this is your reverb, right? So if right now the reverbs are muted on this channel. So if I go here, the reverbs are muted. If I unmute them, check, check, check. You can see there's not a lot of reverb, but if I bring it up, check, check, check. You can't really tell, but there's been reverb added. Check, 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 check. See, let me go back here. I'm going to edit this out because someone's got these down. Okay, so actually it's not reverb added because somebody has muted all the reverbs in here. So we're going to go through and unmute all those. There, check, check. Check, 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 check. Yeah. Check, 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 check. All right, good. So anyhow, now you can tell I have reverb. Someone had muted the mains. But if you don't want them on that, and in the middle of, like say if someone's talking and singing and you have a lot of stuff on, you can actually mute like that. So you can mute it like that, and then they won't have so much reverb and delay. But don't mute them from here like someone did. Don't go to effects and mute the effects there. Just go and mute them on the effects send channel. So if I'm back on the mic, I'd go to sends, and these are my effects. I have reverb here, delay here, delay here. And that's how I control how much, is by turning that up and down. I just showed you one channel, but if you can, the same thing with the guitar. Like so if I have, if I'm over here on guitar, it would do the same thing. I would have all my settings and sends. I would have monitor sends here, effects here, reverb, reverb, delay, chorus. Okay, and go back here. If I went over here to the 1 through 8, which is more drums, so that same thing. If I click on that, then I have all my controls here, my sends, monitors. Get rid of these again. Monitors, effects. Okay. So remember, you're only having on the sends, your first 4 is your monitors, depending on how many monitors you have hooked up. If you have 1 monitor, it's going to be 1, 2 monitors, you know, so on and so forth, and your effects over here. That's all you got to worry about. And then the other thing is, okay, so say if you have a track and you want to name a track something, so like this one, I want to name this purple microphone. You actually just hold that down, and then it takes you into this screen right here. So then I would look into, I want to go to track 15, and I want to name that track Purple Mic. There. So now you have purple mic and you have brown mic. And if you want to change a color on that, I hold that down like that and find a relevant color, but there is no brown, so I'll leave it there like that. Okay, so that's how you do that. You don't really need to know that, but if you did need it, that's how you do it. Okay, controlling CD players and CD players, DVD sound, that kind of stuff. You would go to your aux in, same as the board on the computer, just aux in, and then here's your CDs again. So this is your CD for anything that's going from the CD players, iPhone, anything that's on that switcher would be here. This is your volume for that. So you aux in there. USB is the same thing. That's the one on the other video that shows a cassette player. That's anything that's plugged into the USB in the front of the mixer. Now you have your aux in 1, 2, 3, and 4 as well. On the back of the mixer, when I was showing you the back panel of the mixer, where I was saying how you could hook a DJ up into that, the aux in 1 and aux in 2. So okay, so you have aux in 1, 2, 3, and 4 still open. You can actually take 2/4 inches, plug them into the back here, the aux in 1 and aux in 2, and then control that volume from here. So it works great for DJs. So instead of cluttering up channels on 1 through 8 or 9 through 16, you can take a DJ and plug them in here, and you can use up, put stereo 1 and 2 there, or stereo 1 and through there. Now, as you can see, like this one right here, if I move this up, if I move this fader up, remember it's muted, they move up at the same time. Now how you do that is you go into here. So yeah, so if I want to link two channels together, and this works the same with if you want to run stereo, like for guitar on a mic line. Like if I go over here and see these two guitars, if I wanted to link these two, if I wanted to run stereo, right now it's mono, I could go here and I could click link, and it'll ask me, do you want to link left and right guitar? I'll say yes, because that's what I have those tracks named. Right now I'll say no, but if I did, I would. So same with the aux. I go to aux and I want to do stereo right and left. So I'd go here, click there, and I'd click link. Right now it's linked, so if I unlink it, now if I go back to overview, actually if I go back to main, if I move this one up and down by itself, it's still. But if I unlinked it, I need to also go here and put these at 0. So if I go back and put these back here to 0, because otherwise it'll only be coming out one side. So I unlinked those tracks. So I need to come back here and I need to put those back to 0. So it's no longer stereo. So now they're not linked, both of them going simultaneously separate than each other. But say if I want to make that a stereo track again, I would just click on that, click link. It'll ask me, do you want to link auxiliary N1 and auxiliary N2? I'll say yes. So now I just made that a stereo track. If I go back to overview, it just panned those automatically for me, and these are now matched. So that's where you'd plug the DJ booth into, is there. Coming down here, you have your buses right here. These should always be at 0. Everything on these buses should always be right at 0. Okay, so your buses should always be at 0. I mean, unless you're doing a mix and it is all the monitors need to come down on that channel, you could do it that way. But as a rule, just leave them at 0 and control what's going into those by going to your sends. Like say your snare drum is too hot in your monitor 1, because this is basically the master volume for this monitor, and this is the master volume for that monitor. Well, you don't need to control the master volume there. You just leave them alone. Go back over here to 1. Say the snare drum needs to come down in the monitor. You click on send. I need the snare drum. Say the snare drum's up too hot. I need the snare drum to come down. Don't control them by the buses, because otherwise you're going to be wondering why you're not having a monitor on another channel that needs to come up louder. So as a rule, leave your buses at 0 and control your mix by the sends from each track. And that's pretty much how you work with this. Just remember the main thing to remember, make sure that mute enable is on. I don't even know why they give you that option. Mute enable's on. how you get to back and forth between mic tracks. 1 through 8's here, 9 through 16 is here. If you need to get to EQ or something like that, you just click on the top name of the button. You have your EQs, your compressor. If you need to get to the sends, you just click which gives you monitor or effects. You click on whichever track you're trying to get monitors on. There, you go to sends. Your monitors are 1 through 4. These aren't even these groups. 1 through 4. And these should all be flattened at the end of the night. And except for this. 1 through 4 is your monitors. 13, 14, 15, and 16 are effects. Reverb, delay, chorus. Alright, so that's how you get to that. And then your aux ins. So your aux ins, this is the volume for CD, DVD. This is the volume if you're playing a USB from the front of the x32, and these are leftover ones that you could have for DJs or whatever. And why they're muted, I don't know. Just weird. They're not being used, so bring them down. Anyhow, that's it. Okay. Effects is here. These should always be at 0. Because then, I don't know why they're not going to 0. Because then your reverb and your delays are not going to work because you're not getting any signal to them. So don't even touch the effect sends. Leave them at 0 and control them from here, from your sends. So now I can control how much reverb and delay. If you're turning your effects off over here, you're not going to have any effects on the mixer. So, yeah. So let's go through right now, and I'm going to just flatline everything because that's what's messing people up.